Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello and welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where we provide world-class education, inspiration, hope and education. I'm Caroline HEWARD. I'm known as the Harley Street Stress Expert. A warm welcome to our regular viewers and a very warm welcome to our new viewers who are joining us for the first time from E360 TV and across all of our platforms. Our show today is A Woman's Prerogative, Part 1. We will have Part 2 a little later this evening. Our topic today is going to be a very interesting one. Our topic is navigating career transitions, how women can successfully pivot and thrive, Part 1. Joining me today is our very wonderful singer, songwriter extraordinaire. She writes books, she is an author, and she does a lot of shows within USA Global TV. A very warm welcome. Please bring on Dr. Madalene Chan.
Hi, Caroline.
Hello.
Hey. Hello, viewers. Hi, Dr. Jacalyn. I know Dr. Jacalyn's producing, but I just like to say hello anyway.
Absolutely, yes. And a warm welcome to Dr. Jacalyn, who is behind the scenes doing the magic of producing our show tonight. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you, Dr. Madalene Chan, especially for our viewers that are here for the first time and don't know you. So please introduce yourself and give a little bit of detail about what you do before we go into the topic.
Okay, thank you, Caroline. What I do is I'm a creative soul heart awakener. What I do is work with people to connect them to their creative genius, help them to connect to their soul, so their soul language, help them to raise their vibration with their voice. And I also present the film and music show. So I'm a huge supporter of creativity, of creative hearts. And film and music show, I like to interview so people can share their talent, their brand. It's all about helping and giving back and evolving and growing as a creative heart. So with that, can I just say one thing, Caroline, in the way that I'm super happy to be co-hosting with Dr. Jacalyn for the USA Global TV and Radio reunion show. And this is a perfect opportunity for anyone who wishes to promote their brand, promote their talent, share with their world. They've got 15 minutes. I mean, Andy Warhol said, everybody has 15 minutes of fame, and that's exactly what is going to be happening. So yes, please do reach out, usaglobaltv.com/book your session, and look forward to seeing you on the 19th of June and the 22nd of June. So that's what I wanted to do.
Thank you, Dr. Chan. Wonderful. And before we go into our topic, I'll just briefly introduce myself. I'm your host today for A Woman's Prerogative. And in my spare time, I'm actually a stress therapist. I'm a stress expert and I help people best their stress. How do I do that? I literally break through the patterns. So I identify the root cause of what causes your stress, whether it's physical, emotional, mental, behavioral, whether it's a physical ache and pain, whether you're not sleeping at night, whether you're complaining about a relationship, or you're feeling sad or lonely, or you're depressed or anxious, whatever it is that you're complaining about, whatever your stress is that's causing you an imbalance in your life that's causing you stress, I help you break through and work through the blueprint, identifying what's caused it in the first place, so you break the pattern of that repeating cycle of stress, however it manifests in your life. I use root cause therapy and chakra psychology. I've been doing this work now since 2000, and I look forward to helping you bust your stress.
Bust your stress, Caroline. But you know, I was just thinking, because you know me, I think like this. I'm thinking there must be so many people approaching you now, because the way the world is and how crazy people are, just really feeling so lost. So your, chakra psychology is perfect.
Absolutely. No, I quite agree with you. I could be busier. We could all be busier. And at the same time, there is more than enough of me to go round.
Octopus arms.
So getting into our topic, navigating career transitions and looking at how you can successfully pivot as a woman and thrive in our changing times. So just hearing that as a subject, what comes to mind for you in terms of how have you navigated your career transitions in your personal life, Dr. Chan?
That's a good question. It's a very good question. I'm pondering on this. Does it mean I'm not trying to be a bit dizzy or anything, but I'm trying to understand, Caroline, when it says career transitions, is it one career, juggling one career, like 2 things, 3 things at the same time in the same day type of thing?
Well, moving from one type of work to another. So let me give you an indication of that. When I first left school, I trained to become a qualified master baker. And that was back in 1980 when I first left school. And I trained in the qualifications that were applied. So they were applied to that career. So they were vocational qualifications at one of the top colleges that was in the city centre. And so I left college and I was a master baker, pastry chef and confectioner. And then in 1988, that was 8 years later, I changed. I moved from making sticky buns and cakes, and I moved into retail management for Holland & Barrett as I became one of their top store managers. And because the industry had changed dramatically, and so I saw frozen dough and frozen sponges and frozen everything coming in, and all the skill had gone out of it. And so what I decided to do was look at my skills, and I took careers advice and looked at my skills and where I had been, and I moved into a career that I found interesting at the time rather than something that I was qualified to do. I found it interesting and became qualified while I was in training. I was a qualified manager and literally pivoted my skills into a new direction and a new career. And that was my first change, because the industry of the bakery and confectionery world, even though I was in management, had really jumped off, it just went off a cliff. And so it wasn't the type of industry to stay in. And so I moved. And I have other stories of how I pivoted in recent times. So can you relate to that? What comes up for you in me sharing that? Because that was way back in 1980 when I first left school. I'm sure you're not doing the same thing as when you first left school. How did you manage that?
Well, for me, Caroline, I kind of left school. It was called a YTS. It's called a Youth Training Scheme. And you're allowed to leave school. See, you either leave school at 15, or you can leave before. So I left school and I was on the Pitman College, working at secretarial, shorthand and typing. The typing was all right, but the shorthand, oh my goodness. Have you ever done shorthand, Caroline?
No.
It's like hieroglyphics, yeah. I mean, it's such an art when you can do the Pitman shorthand. It really is. And I sometimes wish that I did apply and focus and get my shorthand. But I did business communications. And so then I went into the office. So I started doing admin in office and accounts for a company, General Accident, in the accounting department. So that's how as far as a career goes, where I began. And then from there, I went from that to instantly, because I love the passion of singing, is going for an audition in London and winning that audition, being successful at that audition. And that threw me away from the office admin completely into art and songwriting and singing. So that was such a big pivot change from office admin to suddenly having a different kind of life, a different surroundings, different time for work, different time, not a 9 to 5, but just sometimes in the evening, sometimes during the day. Yeah. But yeah.
How did you move from that office environment into that next career? What did you do to make that happen?
I had to literally pick up sticks, because I'm from Bradford, and go and live in London. So I had to leave my family, and I was 18 at the time. I had to leave my family and go to London and get a bedsit. So it was completely where I was at home to then. It was such a, how can I say, such a big transition. At the same time, I was excited about it, but there was part of me that was a bit, if you've been protected with family and then suddenly you go out to London by yourself in a bedsit, it's lonely at first, but yeah. But I was excited about it, and it was the excitement, it was the change, that made me go forward and go, let's do this, let's go and have this adventure. And I think that's what it's all about, having that adventure. Caroline, I want you to ask, you started off doing pastry, being a pastry chef. Is it right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did you do that? What inspired you to study in pastry?
Well, that's a really, really interesting question, because when I first left school, when I was preparing to leave school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, because I'd always wanted to be an air hostess, which was the modern career, you know, the very glamorous career at that time. And I was really good in my nutrition and cookery class, and my teacher saw talent, and she persuaded me to not stay on at school, which is what I was going to do. And she persuaded me to look at the prospectus of one of the top colleges in the town. And she found a course, because I enjoy the cake decorating side of things. I love making cakes and decorating them. And it was just a thing that I enjoyed doing. And so she said, why don't you look at this? There are some courses here that might interest you. And I says, oh, no, I'm not good enough for anything like that. And, you know, I'm going to fail my exams and I'm going to stay on at school. I'll retake them because I don't know what I wanted to do. But it was the interest of that particular teacher that motivated me to do an entry exam and go to this college. And the only reason I took this particular course was because it had half a day of cake decorating, and I wanted to do that. And it was purely a hobby. It was out of self-interest. It was nothing else. But what happened when I went to college is that I became so interested, and I enjoyed it so much. It was like a hobby that had become a job. And so I started off life really exploring a hobby. And I've been like that ever since I left school. Everything that I've done has been a hobby, something I've enjoyed, something I have an interest in. And that's how I've landed up pivoting. So into my first career, which was actually in management, because I was training as a manager as well. And so all of my careers have been in management and on the side of looking after staff. And so that was something that also was very good at, people and training. And so it was just something that was of interest, a hobby turned into a paid job. And I was good at it.
Yeah.
How I pivoted is essentially looking at things that are of interest to me. And when I moved from working in the bakeries and moved into retail management, Holland and Barrett was a health food organization. And I was really interested in, you know, save the planet, save the dolphin, save the whale. I was very much that type of girl, and was very much interested in the nutritional side of things. And I joined the health food retailer because I was interested. And I also did some psychometric testing and careers advice from the local university, who advised me that that was something to just aim for something in retail. And I said, I'm not going to be a shop girl, because I remember thinking, you know, I'm educated, I'm not going to be a shop girl. But actually it was something else. It was something that was of interest. So my pivot from one career to another was literally out of self-interest and hobby. And it was, and I've always done that. And when I moved from retail management, I actually moved the worst store in the company to be a top store of the whole national company, and became the training branch because I loved it. And then I moved to marketing and PR, and then moved away. That was my first time I moved away from my home and my family. And what made me do those things is purely, it was a hobby that I was good at, and started hanging out in the socialite circles of the management arena in my hometown.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point there, Caroline, in the way that starts as a hobby, and it's an absolute valid key, isn't it? In the way that it's got to be that you have to enjoy it. And if you enjoy it, it doesn't seem like work. It doesn't seem like work. And you just seem to, the hours don't even count, because you're just in that moment and enjoying the environment, enjoying the learning, just loving it. And it's so different from working for yourself, juxtaposed to working for a corporate or working for a company where you have certain deadlines to meet or something. How would you, in the way that you've worked for corporate and you've worked for management, top management, when did you decide to take that jump, that pivot from working from corporate to then working for yourself?
Well, it was almost forced upon me because I became a therapist, not because I had decided to be a therapist, but actually because I cured and sorted out my own depression. And then the courses I did landed up being proper professional courses. So I had people that I had to do as case studies, and I realized that I was good and I was creating results. And so that's the thing about, sort of our part of this discussion. It's about thriving. And I thrived in helping others solve their problems that I'd solved of my own. And that was what made me thrive. It was something that was really key to me, that because I'd solved something that was really challenging for me, going into a depression after I lost my dad, it just completely blew me away. So I had everything that I was supposed to have. And then losing my dad literally just blew everything in the water as to who I was being. And I didn't feel anymore. So in exploring that line of helping myself, it led me into a new career. And that's the thing about, sort of each transition that I've made. I've actually done it through my own discovery. And at 60 years old, I can honestly say I've never really just had a job for earning money. I've always done work that I've been really interested in doing, because there've been hobbies that have turned into paying roles and paying occupations. So from the perspective of thriving in moving into a pivot, I would say it's absolutely integral that it's something that you want to do, something that you enjoy doing. So tell me, Dr. Jan, what kind of things do you do that you enjoy doing, that you didn't do when you first left school, that you do now, that make you thrive and really move you into a place of being happy in what you're doing and being that mentor and teacher for others?
That is a good question. Okay, I have to retrace back. For me, I love to help to develop people's talent. I love to help to explore and take them on a journey where they discover their highest capabilities, highest capacity they can become, especially in the creative field, in singing, songwriting, creative artist development. I just love to see people excel in that. And in the way that you said you had to sort of life taught you, lessons taught you, and you taught yourself to heal. And then from there, you started to heal other people. It's almost you brought through that wisdom, brought through those lessons, that energy, the healing, and you shared it with people to help them become better, which you still do. The same thing with me, because when you're a singer and you're signed to a label, and you only have a small amount of time in the studio to complete a single or a track or an album, and time is money, as they keep on saying. Anyway, I found that sometimes I couldn't express the voice that I was supposed to bring that power through. And sometimes I'd end up crying in tears, coming out of the studio, thinking at one point, I'm hopeless, I'm not a good singer. And they made me feel like that. So then I decided, okay, I've got to do something about this. So I decided to almost like connect to my inner voice and work with certain sounds, not notes from a piano or anything, but just sounds and tones that would help me to achieve that power in my voice. And I went to the studio and it worked. And I thought, oh, this is interesting. And I decided to call it Colours of the Voice. And then something happened with the industry, as it always does. And I go to Malta. And then I threw myself. The pivot turn was, what can I do? Oh, I can only sing. Wait a minute. I remembered I taught myself how to overcome certain things to get that voice through. All right, maybe I will teach. So I decided, okay, let's go for it. Let's go and teach one-to-one on a small island and go and teach small children. Well, they were about like 7 years old, 8 years old. And they were Maltese, so there was a language barrier, but there was Pidgin English. I was able to do Pidgin English. But I helped these kids to sing live rather than just lip syncing, which means miming to a song that they were used to just miming to a song and not actually expressing their voice in a show. So I was really happy to be able, it gave me so much joy for these children, and they felt the joy because they were only young and they wanted to use their real voice in the shows. But it was fear of the teacher that stopped them from actually, okay, if you sing live, okay, you might go wrong, but it doesn't matter. But it's almost, these children had to have perfection. So my pivot was to introduce them to their natural voice and sing their voice in shows. And whether they go wrong, it doesn't matter. The fact is they're trying and they'll get better anyway. So I went from being a singer, signed up to a label, and then going to being a teacher with children to teach them vocal confidence. So
wow.
Yeah.
So how did you move into getting onto being signed as a label with a producer? So tell us about that experience. What did you do to move from the things that you were doing previously to then having a producer and a record company producing your songs?
Well, it's a case of, Caroline, when you're going for auditions, and then you get that audition and you start working as a band, a pop band, you get to meet different people in the business, and you get to know where people are hanging out as well. And it's network, just like you go to network in a conference center. The network for creatives are at theatre bars or at pubs. So, or what you call jamming sessions. And jamming sessions is where the musicians and singers all get together and they say, hey, do you know that song? Yeah, I know that song. Okay, let's do it. Let's jam. And there is socializing. You're socializing, but you're networking as well. And it's a very relaxed atmosphere, and that's how you meet people. And they say, well, I'm looking for a singer because I've got this project going on. Okay, I'll go. And that's generally how it is. And then, of course, you work with someone to get a demo. And then once you've got your demo, a representation of your voice, singing cover songs, for example. And then it goes like this. You play it to someone. Oh, I've got someone that's doing this at the moment. It's a chain reaction. But the main point is you've got to get in there. You've got to go to these places. You have to network. You have to be not ego, But well, actually, to be honest, yeah, there's some people that are peacocks, proud peacocks out there for sure. You know, just woo, let it all out. But you have to be, because it's tough competition, especially during that time in the 90s. It was really tough because we didn't really have the internet as much for downloads and selling albums. But now, of course, anyone can put out something out there, and you know, providing that they have that passion, it's watered down much, you know. And yeah, I got signed with an independent label, a smaller label, and put out a compilation album, did a couple of singles. And then sometimes things happen. In my case, the boss of the label became very ill, and so his passion went out, and then everything else suffers around it, you know. And this is a learning, but this is how it is. It's you know, you pivot, you turn, you flow, you flow, and then suddenly, if it's closed, you can't try and keep that ajar, that door, can you? You gotta. Have you ever had that where you're absolutely certain, going, this is it now, this is it, what can go, well, you don't even think what can go wrong. You just feel so certain this is right, you've made it. You don't even think about what's ahead.
Well, I've had such an experience this year. I was expecting to be on a platform with a nurse, and we're now 5 months into the year and it's gone very silent. And I'm rather hoping that that still will materialize. But in the meantime, I'm doing other things. So I'm not reliant on just the one thing that I'm looking at. But what you bring up is very interesting about networking, because I used to be known as the queen of networking in London, and I was always at all the different places. I actually ran a ladies group in Mayfair in London, and it was the flagship. It was their best branch for the ladies' lunch. And I had awards for it, for running that branch, as well as also running and being the chairman of a breakfast group at the same time. So networking was my thing. And I would say that I had a lot of business, a lot of clients through my networking, and I developed a lot of contacts through the very fact of networking. And I would say that networking, connecting, and using your connections is a very good way to pivot from one industry to another and to move into opportunities, because many opportunities aren't advertised. They're not in the social media areas, they're actually in conversations. Now networking has changed dramatically, and there's not as many face-to-face networking meetings. There's a lot more online. So it's even more imperative to be on social media platforms and having a voice and being there, showing up. What are your thoughts, Dr. Chan, about being on social media and posting, making comments on other people's posts, and being there, connecting with people that you don't know? How do you feel about the social media and posting?
Well, Caroline, I'm kind of a newbie at this, because it was during COVID 2020 where I felt that social media was necessary for me, because when I was on Malta, I spent 16 years on Malta, kind of didn't really do social media because it was a small island and we all kind of knew each other, and it was a case of just by phone, really, or but as far as posting and everything, no. So it was 2020 where the lovely late Philip Chan, Dr. Philip Chan, he said to me, Maddie, because he was calling me Maddie, you do realize you're going to have to get into social media. I said, what do you mean? And he said, yes, you must check out the 529 Club, the creatives. And I went, oh. And so that really was when I did a pivot, because Caroline, honestly, I got to tell you, I didn't do any of that, because I worked for a stage school in Malta, Stagecoach. So everything was, when I came over to the UK, May 2020 is when I started to be introduced to social media.
Well, I've been on social media. I decided when it was first really becoming a thing to do and a new thing in 2008. And I did some training, and one of my mentors, Daniel Priestley, who's written a number of books now and is like really the real cool dude and is very famous. He didn't have any books at the time. I was part of his boardroom and he was mentoring me as part of a group. And essentially, he came in and said, you have to be on social media. This was back in 2007, 2008. So I joined this class and there was a complete avalanche of social media in terms of Facebook, LinkedIn, and all the different platforms. And I remember at the end of the session in 2008 saying, oh my gosh, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. And what he suggested as an amazing mentor, he suggested choose one and focus on that one platform. And when you feel confident, then move on to another platform and you can repost what you post on your preferred platform onto the others. And my preferred platform then was Facebook, and it was very new at the time. So I was making some posts, not many, and I started somewhere. And what happened was it gave me, I didn't realize how connected I was because I'd done lots of different trainings in different places. And it was a connecting hub. And what it's done is it's brought in all the different people from my different aspects of my doing and my being in terms of my training, my different types of work, my different careers, people I've studied with, friends, family, and people that are interested in what I do and what I post. And so suddenly it opened up a wealth of connections that I didn't even realize. And those friends had more friends and more connections. And through social media and through those connections, it made me pivot again in the late 2020 when our world changed. And it moved me into being online, actually investing in my first laptop. And then I had invitations to be a speaker at online conferences. And so it opened doors that I wasn't expecting to open. And that's one of the things that I feel is a really strong strategy in terms of being able to pivot and thrive, because people get to know you without you having to leave your home. And that is inspiring. So we're coming to the end of our show, Dr. Chan. Can you believe it?
Already? I can't believe it. It just goes so quick. This show should be longer.
What I want to do is, before we end, I just want to look at a couple of tips that you could suggest in terms of when women are changing that transition, moving from one type of career into another. So moving from maybe working in a corporate job to working on their own business or becoming self-employed. Is there one or two tips that you could share with our audience right now that you think would be ideal for them to use in transitioning in that pivot to become thriving in their new career?
Again, wonderful questions. Great questions, Caroline. I would say, because when you announce you're going to go for a new job or a new transition, change, there's always somebody there giving advice or saying, no, I don't think that's good. I would say turn away from the background noise. Before even sharing what you're going to do, what you're going to plan, have that time, go within, have that time and write down why you want to do it. What's the purpose? Why do you want to do it? How will you benefit from that? Not about others at this present moment, just how it will help to how can I say, improve your life, bring in an abundance, maybe help to your health, let's say. So you've got to first go within before even sharing it out with anyone, because all you're going to get is background noise and then so many other opinions, and then you're going to get yourself all in turmoil and stress. So I would say that.
Thank you, Dr. Chan. That's a great example, and it's actually going to really pivot into what I'm going to share now. So my top tip is people have problems. Now, the world has changed dramatically. I do see that there is, and it keeps being mentioned, there is a cost of living crisis, and it is affecting lots of people globally. People are people. So what problems do they have? And I do believe that if you are helping someone solve a problem, and if you are looking at solving somebody's problem, there will always be an opportunity to be able to thrive in our changing times. So what problems are you solving? I certainly felt that when times had changed back in early 2020, that the retailers became key workers. I found that fascinating, that they were the lowly of the lowliest, and delivery drivers were the same, and they were solving a problem. So they became key, and they became known as the workers making the countries survive. And that was something that was really interesting to me, that the world changed and the dynamics of what became important to people changed. And so retail and delivery drivers became in a place of thriving. So look at what problems there are and look at how you can help others to solve their problems. For me, I work in helping people solve their stress. So that has been ever since 2000, since I was managing and dealing with my own stress. And essentially, that's been a problem throughout. And I've had to pivot and change the way that I work because times have changed and now it's more online. And the only reason that I'm able to thrive online is because I love what I do and I do what I love. So that's my next tip. Do something that you enjoy, because when you enjoy it, the challenges of things that are difficult will move you through. So, Dr. Chan, we are really in our final few minutes. So please tell our viewers, especially the people that are here for the first time, how they can contact you and what value you're going to bring them in a short 60-second quick fire. How can they reach you and how can you help them?
I'll catch the elevator right now. All right, here we go. I would love to hear from anyone that would like to be able to explore their inner voice, to be able to be connected with their creative. I can help them connect to their creative soul genius, for them to be connected to their soul, to the feminine energy. It's so important now to be connected. And also, if you want a song about your family or you want a song about any kind of special celebration, we have songsforyou.co.uk with myself and a team, and we work together and we write you a song of a happy generational family. That's what I do. Please do contact me. MadelenChan.com, info@madelenechan.com, and you can find me on LinkedIn. And if you're looking for a home chef, I can't believe it. No, honestly, I've just got a wonderful chef that's just moved into the house. So super happy about that. I kind of got carried away with that because it's the Michelin chef and all, But yeah, please do contact me if you want to discover your creative heart. I'll be there.
Thank you, Dr. Chan. For me, I'm going to help you bust your stress. So whether it's physical, emotional, mental, behavioral, reach out. I offer an extraordinary offer at the moment. It's limited, so please take advantage. For 1 hour, an introductory hour for £50. and I'm going to help you break through 3 symptoms, 3 repeating symptoms that create your stress. You can reach me on No More Stress, 3 words as it sounds, No More Stress, at live.co.uk, or call me if you're international, +44 if you're local, 07523 120 189. And I look forward to helping you bust your stress. Thank you very much, everybody. It's been an amazing show. And please come back if you've enjoyed this show for part 2 of Woman's Prerogative in partnership with E360 TV. I'll be back at 9 p.m. British Summer Time. So that's in 2 hours, just over 2 hours. We have had fun tonight. There is so much more to share with you. Thank you very much, Dr. Chan. It's been fun. And I really look forward to seeing you next week on Monday, same time, same channel. And over now to our wonderful sponsors. Before we do, I want to also say a massive thank you to Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, who is our extraordinaire host, our extraordinaire producer, and the person that owns this channel. And she has inspired me to be the person that I'm here and helping you in this way. And I really thank her for everything that she's done, bringing me and what I do to help others in this extraordinary platform. Over now to our sponsors, and I will see you very soon. Bye-bye.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, Diane Boehm. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Diane Floyd Boehm tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Diane's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diane's Little Girl in the Moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diane's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Diane's delightful books and much more at dianefloydboehm.com. Visit dianefloydboehm.com. That's dianefloydboehm.com.
Hello, everyone. Hello and welcome. My name is Roland Friedl, and maybe as you can recognize from my accent, I'm Austrian, so it's a small country in the middle of Europe, in the heart of Europe. And yeah, I'm 59 years old. I'm a father and a grandfather. And from my business background, after my very short but very successful corporate career, I was the youngest member of board of directors in a huge business. A huge company. I started my own businesses in different areas, in different industries, and I got a lot of experience, but it's working, but it's not working. And about 2.5 decades ago, I started a training, coaching, consulting company, Spartan Performance Systems, where I did and still do train and consult international huge businesses worldwide, like Xerox and other big players in the world. So we do a lot of sales trainings and management trainings with my team in different languages. That's my main background in business. Besides that, I'm very engaged in men's work and also in the environment. That's my background, to make it short. So to be honest, I'm very curious about what's going on in the world. I love to learn. I love to travel. So my huge passion is traveling. Right now, as you can see the background, I'm sitting in my motorhome. So after 14 years living on a beautiful island, I decided to move into my motorhome and travel Europe and live and work from my motorhome. So, and I got engaged to USA Global TV and Radio actually a year and around 9-10 months ago. A very good friend of mine, he contacted me and asked me if he can invite me for an interview on USA Global TV and Radio. I guess the show was called The Journey of My Life. And to be honest, in the beginning I said no, because I had very bad experience on interviews in my business careers. I did it twice for a TV channel in Austria. And then they cut it and edited it, and at the end, my comment was totally different than to the reality I said. So I said in the beginning, no, but I trusted this guy, so I said, okay, let's do it. He told me I don't have to fly to the US, I can do it from my home. That was, at the time, this was his island in Mallorca. So, and it was an amazing, and a beautiful conversation. And then Dr. JACALYN contacted me and asked me if I'm interested in becoming a co-moderator of a show. And so we started the Mallorca Connection, which is a weekly show on Monday, the Mallorca Connection. I got more and more involved. I became an elevated listener because I strongly believe it's important to listen first before you talk. And I had the chance to host and moderate and design my own shows like the Earth Show in the past, the Men shows. I became a talking head, an expert on business topics. So I hosted, moderated, I guess about more than 100, maybe 200, I have no idea, shows on USA Global TV and Radio, and I still do. And finally, we started the It's Your Healthy Lifestyle, a very good show, and we bring a new one on about the planet Earth. Yeah, that's a little bit what I'm doing here on USA Global TV and Radio. So why I'm doing this? First of all, I really love new medias. I love the platform. I love the work that this Dr. JACALYN is doing to educate people. It's all about sharing, caring, and connecting and networking. And the benefit I got out of this in my personal experience, I learned a lot about myself, to be honest. I learned a lot about my strengths in moderating, in hosting, in talking live in front of a video camera. I learned a lot of myself, where are my strengths, where are my weak points that I have to improve. I met a lot of new interesting people. Some of them became friends of mine. Actually, after all, it's a hell of work, to be sure. Yes, it is, to be prepared to invite people for the shows, to find new topics, to do research on the facts. But I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about the industry, the media industry. I learned a lot about broadcasting, videos, interviewing. And as I said, I met interesting people, a lot of interesting people, and also made new friends where I'm very happy for that. So yeah, USA Global TV and Radio, it's the platform to connect. It's about sharing and caring. And for me, USA Global TV and Radio is a huge family, and I'm very thankful and grateful for this experience. And I guess the best is yet to come. Thanks a lot from Roland, from Austria. Thank you.